Hi, I'm Kendall, and this is my brother EJ, and we're here to give you the top 3 candidates for the NBA Rookie of the Year award for the 2017-2018 NBA season. Now, EJ, we had one of the most hyped up summer league rookie classes that we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years in the NBA, and now that we're going into training camp and we're going into the NBA season, we're here to give you our top Rookie of the Year candidates. So, who are some of these guys on this list? Obviously we're talking about Lonzo Ball, Markelle Fultz, who are 1 and 2 or 2 and 1 respectively. But who are some of the other guys on this list that you look at and you say this guy's gonna be Rookie of the Year possibly?
So this is very interesting. I think this is a very deep class. I think there are a lot of guys you could look at. But for me, starting at number 3, I'm actually going with Dennis Smith from the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Dennis Smith was drafted a little lower in the draft, so this would be a big jump if he's able to get into the top 3 for Rookie of the Year. But there are a couple of reasons why I like his chances. Number 1, I think he's playing for a great coach in Rick Carlisle, who I think will get the best out of him. I also like the fact that Dennis Smith is going to have the ball in his hands. There's no qualms in terms of whose team is going to be from day one. It's going to be Dennis Smith's team. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to play 35 minutes a night. There's no threat at the point guard position on the Dallas Mavericks roster to where I can see him losing his starting spot or sharing time with anybody. He's going to be the guy from day one. And the guy's uberly talented. I think he has flaws in his game. I think sometimes he can get a little tunnel vision when it comes to just only looking to score. The guy is super explosive. He can score from on pretty much all 3 levels of the floor. He can obviously score at the rim. We've seen some explosive dunks in YouTube videos and Instagram videos, and we've seen him almost put guys on posters in the summer league. But he can hit the mid-range jump shot, which I think is a very, very important part of his game, and he get the 3. So I think that the numbers will be there. I think that the team will be respectable. Dallas probably won't make the playoffs, but I think they'll be a respectable team, and I'm sure he'll be one of the reasons why. So I think he'll end up being one of the top 3 guys. I don't think he'll win it because I think he plays a little too selfish for me to think that they would give him the Rookie of the Year award. I think people will look at him and say, well, he needs to get his assist numbers up and things like that. But the volume of time he'll get on the floor, his talent, his raw talent, and I think great coaching will allow him to be one of the guys that's in that top 3. For number 2 for me, I went with Ben Simmons. I think Simmons has a very good shot. Simmons, he's talked a lot in this offseason about how he's a totally different player than the guy we saw at LSU. And we'll see. There's a lot to say for a guy who didn't play a whole season and now steps into the NBA. And he steps into a team with a lot of expectations, the Philadelphia 76ers. The fans are super excited, and for good reason. They have a super young, exciting young team, and that's super talented. And he's going to be a big reason why, if they are able to make the playoffs, they are. So Simmons, obviously, jack of all trades. He's a point forward at 6'10". He can do it all. He's an excellent passer, excellent ball handler. I think he's an underrated scorer. I know he can't shoot, but he can score in almost any other way you could imagine besides shooting long distance. He averaged 20 points in college, so it's not like the guy can't put the ball in the basket. So I think Simmons is going to end up having a big season. He wasn't number 1 for me because I worry that playing in the front court with Embiid, how many shots is he going to get? We know Fultz is going to be handling the ball, and Embiid, the offense is going to go through him, assuming he plays all 82 or most of the games. Simmons, I think, could end up being kind of a third cog in their offense, and that's where I worry for us him getting Rookie of the Year. The rebounds and assist numbers are going to be high, so he may be able to overcome that. But if he's only averaging 12 or 13 points, will they overlook guys who may be averaging 16 and 17 like Dennis Smith, the guy who I have number 1? And the guy I have number 1 is actually his teammate, Markelle Fultz, who I think steps into a team that I think will compete for a playoff spot. And I think, Brett Brown dealt with a lot over the last 3 or 4 years, coaching a terrible team. But I think people are going to learn that he's actually a pretty good coach. And I think that Brett Brown is going to put Markelle Fultz in a position to be very successful. I also think Markelle Fultz is going to benefit a lot from Ben Simmons. Because right now, the best thing about Markelle Fultz's game is his ability to score. He's a very good point guard, and he's a good passer. But he still has a ways to go when it comes to learning how to set up his teammates and learn how to run a team. Ben Simmons being able to kind of share that responsibility with him will allow him to play off the ball and get buckets. And I expect him to get buckets on the NBA level very efficiently. So I think that with the Philadelphia team that I think will compete, I think he may end up being their 2nd or 3rd leading scorer. And he's the number 1 pick in the draft. So I think there's going to be a willingness to want to vote for him number 1 in terms of the Rookie of the Year. I have Markelle Fultz as my Rookie of the Year for the 2017-2018 season.
For me, at number 3, I've got Jayson Tatum. I think Jayson Tatum's a guy that he was one of, if not the most impressive rookie we saw in Las Vegas at the Summer League, besides maybe Lonzo Ball. And I think Tatum, he's in an interesting position because, I look at two things that you need to have, one or the other, to win Rookie of the Year. You need to have dynamic stats and, dynamic highlights, or you need to, impact winning. And I doubt Tatum's going to have the dynamic numbers or the dynamic highlights that are going to be on SportsCenter, top 10 plays every week, or just on a SportsCenter a highlight package. But he's in an interesting position in Boston, and the question is if he does crack that rotation, and he's good enough, as we saw in the Summer League, to get 25 minutes on a playoff team, then it's going to be tough if he's really producing at a high level, if he's giving you 11, 12, 13 points to shut him out of the conversation, because his team's going to be probably a 50, possibly 60 win team. So I think Tatum will be in the conversation. It's going to be tough to win it, but it'll depend on whether or not the Celtics move some of those other pieces and create more opportunity for him. At number 2, I agree with you. I have Dennis Smith. He's a guy that is extremely explosive, obviously. Can get to the basket literally whenever he wants. Can raise up on somebody at the rim. Rise above any big man, and is a threat to throw down on you. Like you said, he can score on all 3 levels because he has a jump shot in the mid range and at the 3-point line. And playing Dallas, he fits the mold of he's going to have big time numbers. He's a guy that they can average 14, 15 points his rookie year. And then he's got the highlights. I worry that Dallas is going to be bad, and so people aren't going to be talking about him in terms of buzz. But he may have some performances where he has 35, I won't say 40, but possibly 40, and you're like, wow, this kid Dennis Smith is similar to how Devin Booker would like that his rookie year and some of these other guys that we've seen. And so I look at Dennis Smith, and I'm like, he's going to be on SportsCenter plenty of times this year. He's going to be on NBA TV plenty of times this year. So I think Dennis Smith has a good chance of winning Rookie of the Year. But at number 1, I've got Ben Simmons. Out of all these guys in this rookie class, Simmons, I think, was the best college basketball player. I think that we're looking at a guy that, we can't forget about him because he didn't play last year. He's gonna be. I think he's gonna be their floor general. He'll be playing the point guard role for the Sixers team, and I think that's a role that suits him. I mean, at LSU, he was playing with, no disrespect to Antonio Blakeney, but he was playing with some bad players at LSU, so for lack of a better term. So now you open up the floor for a guy whose greatest skill is his passing ability.
Right.
Now he's playing with Markelle Fultz, who you mentioned, on the wing. He's playing with Joel Embiid in the post. These are the type of guys, Dario Saric, JJ Redick on the wing now. He's going to have weapons at his disposal. And that's not to mention the fact that he's a guy that averaged 19 points at LSU.
Yeah.
Averaged 12 rebounds. And I hope has worked on his jump shot in the year that he's been away from basketball.
I have my doubts about that.
Yeah, I mean, so do I. I mean, I tend to think he may be shooting with the wrong hand. But, we're talking about a guy that if he has improved even a little bit, I think is far and away the best player in this rookie class. And is going to be on a team that is competitive. So he's going to impact winning, which is the first key, and then he's gonna have the big time plays, the big time performances. He'll probably rack up a couple triple doubles this season. So I mean, I'd be surprised if Simmons wasn't at least very much in the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Simmons is a great player. I think the one thing I do worry about with Simmons is I think of all the top guys we're talking about, and if we include your Lonzo Balls, your Josh Jacksons in this picture, he might be the guy. While I think I agree, he may be the best player. In terms of where he fits on his team, maybe the most confusing. Because he comes into a team where they're set on the post, and you think they're set at the point guard. And those are the positions where he operates. You say, I made the case that I think that he'll still end up playing a lot of point, and that'll actually help Markelle Fultz. But it may take his teammates a little bit of time to kind of understand the immense talent they have, and kind of, he's such a unique player that I just wonder if it may take a couple months for them to kind of gel to where he's playing at his highest level.
I mean, Markelle Fultz is a good prospect. He's a very good prospect. But when I look at him and Simmons, they're going to they're going to focus on Simmons more than they focus on Fultz. Fultz is going to be a secondary piece on that team, whereas I think Simmons is going to be a primary piece along with Embiid. Obviously, Embiid is going to be their go-to guy, assuming he plays more than 30 games. But Simmons is a guy that, he's going to have the ball in his hands. They're going to have to learn to play with Fultz, I think, as opposed to Simmons, because Simmons is going to be the guy, I think, with the ball in his hands.
I don't know. Teams aren't used to playing with guys 6'10" point guards. I think it's much, it's much easier to understand how to play with a score first 6'3" guy than a 6'10" guy who plays on the perimeter.
Simmons has been there all year,
But he hasn't played with them. He was hurt.
He didn't play in games, but he's been cleared. He's been practicing. Why he hasn't played? They've been super cautious, and his Nike contract. He's trying to win Rookie of the Year so he can get a bonus. Now, there's a big name, EJ, that we left off our list, both of us, and that's Lonzo Ball.
Elephant in the room.
I kind of feel bad for a lot of the Laker fans watching because, he's a guy that I think had the chance to be the best player in this rookie class.
Yeah.
I think he was the best guy in Las Vegas at Summer League, but it's just going to be tough because, I feel like you have to either have some sort of winning impact, and I think Lonzo Ball will impact wins because of the way he plays, but will it be enough in the Western Conference with this Laker team? Some people feel they're a playoff team. I think they'd be lucky if they're the 12th best team in the Western Conference this year. They need a lot of parts to stay healthy, but and then if you're not impacting winning, then you need to he'll have the highlights because of his passing ability, but will he have the gaudy statistical numbers? I project him at 11 points a game, 9 assists. That's impressive for a rookie, and then maybe 5 rebounds, and that's going to be impressive. But when you look at Simmons, the guy I think is going to have a similar kind of production model, but I'm looking at probably 7 assists, but maybe 8 rebounds and 13, 14 points.
Maybe his team's winning a lot more,
and his team is probably in the playoffs, so it's going to be tough. Ball is a great player, but this is a tough rookie class. He would have won last year, I think, running away.
Yeah, it's not really a disrespect to Ball for him not being on this list. I think that I agree he could end up being a great player down the road. I just think in terms of Rookie of the Year, I had a problem putting him on because, number one, the Lakers are not that good. And I think that I hate to say that the way that needs to be said or sound that harsh about it, but I think there's a lot of excitement around the Lakers, and there should be. I think that Ingram certainly showed in the Summer League and towards the end of the season that he's ready to perhaps take the next step. I was not very impressed with him for the first 3-4 months of the season, but he did play well late, and I did like the one Summer League game I did see from him. I think he's been working on his game, and I think that Coach Lou Walton and Magic Johnson, there's a lot of excitement to have there, and Lonzo is, he's a very exciting player with his ability to pass the basketball. But the problem I have with him, though, is I still know how he scores on the NBA level, and that's something that really bothers me.
He did a good job of attacking the basket in his last couple of Summer League games.
Yeah.
I just worry about the three-point shot.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to attack the basket like that in the NBA, and I think he's going to have to rely on making a lot of threes. In college, I wasn't worried about it until I watched the Summer League. I don't think a guy can just lose his shot the way it looked like he lost his shot in the Summer League, but it's a little concerning. For a guy who I think is going to have to get the majority of his baskets on long threes, he's not hitting those. I don't know how he's really scoring. He's great at passing the ball out of the post, but he's not really scoring out of the post. He's not a guy who I look at as a guy that's going to be able to get to the rim at any time he wants. And right now, he's a liability defensively. So while I think his assist number and his ability to run a team will be very, very good his rookie year, I don't know if he's going to have the numbers as far as scoring that we're going to like in terms of making the Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he shoots above 40%.
Don't underrate the possibility of Lonzo, Brandon Ingram taking the next step and Lonzo getting the credit for it. And maybe he should deserve the credit with the way he plays, but let's say Ingram turned into the 20-point scorer next year that the Magic Johnson hopes and Rob Pelinka hopes that he turns into. Lonzo Ball will get plenty of that credit. Real quick, do you have any dark horse guy that you didn't mention?
Oh yeah, I think that Luke Kennard is someone that can end up having. I think he can end up having a very, very great early impact for the Pistons. They lost KCP, so he could come in.
Avery Bradley.
They brought in Avery Bradley, but I think Kennard comes in and is possibly their sixth man.
Stan Van loves Luke Kennard.
He loves him.
He's been talking.
I think he's going to play him a lot of minutes. I think he's their sixth man. I think he plays combo. I think that you could see Luke Kennard have a really strong season. So I think he was probably one of the guys I looked at as a real dark horse in terms of winning the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for me, it's Malik Monk. I mean, you know, EJ, I love Malik Monk. I mean, I think he was one of the top 3 prospects in this draft.
Yeah.
And he didn't play in Summer League, so I couldn't put him on the list, even though I wanted to. But don't be surprised Malik Monk averages 15 points next year for the Charlotte Hornets, and is very much in the thick of the Rookie of the Year race. I mean, in college, he was the best scorer of all these guys in this draft. And all these guys in this draft were high-level scorers in the Summer League, whether we're talking about Donovan Mitchell, who wasn't a big-time scorer in college, or Jayson Tatum, who scored more than I think people expected. Monk was an even more explosive scorer than those guys. So imagine what he would have done playing in the Summer League. So I think once we get to the NBA level, he's going to get the shots playing in Charlotte.
One more super dark horse. My man Big E Swanigan playing for the Portland Trail Blazers.
He's going to be the starting power forward
Big
by week 3.
I tell you what, Caleb Swanigan is going to be an all-rookie guy. I don't know his first or second team, but he's going to be an all-rookie guy. And the guy has immense skills. Portland has no one in the front court, so he comes in. He's going to step in and play right away. He knows how to score on the NBA level, as far as I'm concerned. That guy knows how to play. It's a crime to me that he was drafted that low. I think people in Summer League saw that this guy definitely was one of the best rookies, and that him being drafted so low was a little head scratching. So I think that Swanigan's a guy I would play very close attention to. I think that he has a lot of game. He reminds me very much of a young Zach Randolph, and ironically, he's playing in Portland.
Yeah.
Look out for Caleb Swanigan as a real dark horse rookie of the year this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think that does it for our video. If you guys have any thoughts on our list, or have your top 3 candidates for the NBA Rookie of the Year award, let us know in the comment section. Laker fans, be nice. And for that, and I think that does it for our video. But thanks guys for watching. I'm Kendall for EJ. Peace.